Hello my dear students, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic we will discuss transcription. This I am going to discuss in three different sessions. First session I will discuss about what is introduction, definition of transcription, structure of transcription unit. The second session I am going to discuss about transcription in prokaryotes, and the third session I'm going to discuss about transcription in eukaryotes. So I'm going to discuss in three different videos. So those who are watching for the first time, please subscribe my channel so that you will be able to get notifications for all my videos which I'm going to upload. So first we are going to start with transcription. So first I will give you what is the definition of transcription. Transcription can be defined as it is copying genetic information from DNA to RNA. Whatever genetic information present in DNA is copied to RNA. That means synthesis of RNA from DNA. And this process is called as transcription. Later from RNA, a particular protein is synthesized, which is called as translation. So transcription is a very important first step in the synthesis of a protein and thus expression of a particular character. A DNA means a gene. A gene will express its character by synthesizing a particular protein. It can be a hormone or any other enzyme or any other pigment or any other substance, any protein. It can express itself. That is the DNA or the gene which actually formed by DNA. So this takes place in these two steps. First step is called transcription. Second one is called as translation. Now, for transcription to occur, only one strand of DNA is involved. Only one strand of DNA is involved for transcription. And that strand is called as, a template strand. It is called as a template strand. The strand which helps in formation of mRNA. That is called as a template strand. Now you know very well that the two strands of DNA have opposite polarity. They are in opposite direction. That is, one strand is in 3' to 5'. Then other complementary strand will be in 5' to 3' direction. Now the strand which is present in 3' to 5' direction, this strand will act as a template strand. That means on this strand mRNA is synthesized. mRNA cannot be synthesized on the other strand. Similarly, both the strands simultaneously they cannot participate for the synthesis of mRNA. Unlike DNA replication, we know where both the strands they are involved in DNA replication. But for formation of RNA, only one strand is involved. That is, the strand which is in this direction 3' to 5'. Now let us see what are the reasons. What are the reasons to say or to prove that the transcription requires only one strand. These reasons will justify that why only one strand is required. First reason. Let us suppose both these strands are involved. Say this is 3' to 5'. The other one is 5' to 3'. Let us see if both these strands are involved in transcription process. Then what will happen? The two strands are complementary to each other. Complementary. The two strands are complementary. They are not identical. This point is very important. They are not identical. They are just complementary to each other. That means the sequence present on one strand will not be same as that of the other strand. This you know. If adenine is present on this strand, there will be thymine. or if there is a G, there is a C, or CG. In this way, the two strands are not exactly equal. They are not identical. Therefore, the mRNA, if suppose synthesized from both the strands, suppose this strand will synthesize one mRNA, and this strand will also synthesize another mRNA. The two mRNA synthesized will produce, these two will produce two different proteins because they are not identical. So they produce two different proteins. So this will complicate the entire genetic process. Entire genetics or inheritance is complicated because one gene will represent one character. Suppose if this happens, that means if both the mRNAs are synthesized from one gene, one DNA, then two mRNAs will synthesize different proteins and hence different characters are produced. So one gene will produce different characters. So this will complicate the entire pattern of inheritance or the study of genetics. This is one reason why only one strand is involved. Then second reason why only one strand is involved. Suppose again both the mRNAs are formed. These two mRNAs are complementary to each other. The two mRNAs formed are complementary to each other. If they are complementary to each other, there is a chance that they can form double helix. If they can form double helix, then RNA becomes non-functional. Because RNA cannot function in double-stranded form. So RNA can become non-functional. That's why only one strand will function as a template strand. And third reason we can justify. We discussed here that only 3' to 5' is involved, but not the other one, 5' to 3'. There is a reason for this. Why only 3' to 5'? Because the strand which is in this direction, 5' to 3', this actually carries the genetic message. This genetic message is carried in the form of codons. The genetic message is carried in the form of codons. So this will actually represent the amino acids which will synthesize a protein. So this cannot participate to synthesize mRNA because that mRNA which is formed from this will become complementary. Suppose this gives mRNA. Then this mRNA will be in this direction, 3' to 5'. The mRNA given by 5' to 3'. It will be in 3' to 5'. And this will not carry the same message as this, same codons as this, because the two are complementary. So the entire protein formed will be, again it will be different. That's why 5' to 3' cannot participate in transcription. And also the RNA polymerase which is involved, another reason is RNA polymerase which is involved. RNA polymerase catalyzes formation of mRNA only in 5' to 3' direction. That means from RNA polymerase, the mRNA which is formed should be only in 5' to 3' direction, which can be seen or obtained only if the template strand is in 3' to 5' direction. So because of all these reasons, only one strand of DNA is involved in transcription, but not both the strands. I hope I am clear. You have to once again watch if it is not clear. So quickly I'll give you what are the reasons I gave you. First reason I gave you is the two strands are complementary but not identical. So therefore they can produce two different proteins. The second reason I gave you, the two mRNAs which are formed, since they are complementary, there is a chance of formation of double helix. So when it is in double helix form, RNA becomes non-functional. Third reason I gave is the 5' to 3' strand will actually carry the genetic message in the form of codons. So if a complementary mRNA is synthesized on this, the codons or the genetic message will be completely changed. Here genetic message is completely changed so that a different protein is formed. So the entire genetic character is changed. And another reason, the RNA polymerase, which catalyzes the formation of mRNA, it is only in 5' to 3' direction. So these are the reasons. Now next let us see what is the structure of a transcription unit. Let us now discuss the structure of transcription unit. Transcription unit means it is the DNA. The DNA which is involved in transcription, that is called as a transcription unit. So let us see what are the different parts of this transcription unit. So here this is 3' to 5' strand, the other one is 5' to 3' strand. So this side a set of genes are present. These genes are called as promoter, and here these are called as terminator. There are three parts of a transcription unit: promoter, terminator. In between it is called as structural gene. It is called as a structural gene. Those are the three parts of the transcription unit. Now the promoter helps in promoter sequence, how it is read. See 3' to 5', we call it as the strand, we call it as a template strand. Template strand, or this template strand is also called as antisense strand. Template strand is also called antisense strand. The other strand, that is 5' to 3', which is in 5' to 3', this is called as sense strand, or it is also called coding strand. It is called sense strand or a coding strand. Now the positions of promoter and terminator are given with respect to coding strand. So with respect to coding strand, if we understand the position of promoter, it is upstream. Upstream means it is towards 5' end with respect to the coding strand. With respect to template, we can call it as 3'. But with respect to coding strand, it is called as a 5'. So it is called upstream. Promoter is in upstream position. Terminator. Terminator is in the position is downstream position. Terminator position is downstream position. That is, if it is towards the 3' end. 3' end of coding strand. Sometimes there are some regulatory sequences are also present which actually control the process. This is generally found in bacteria. Regulatory sequences, they are also called regulatory genes. These regulatory sequences are present upstream or downstream to the promoter. Anything. What is their position? Either upstream or downstream, either upstream or downstream to the promoter. Upstream to the promoter means, you can look at the diagram. Upstream to the promoter is just before the promoter region, just before the promoter. Downstream promoter means just after the promoter. So regulatory sequences can be present either upstream or downstream to the promoter. Now, there are some sequences which are present in prokaryotes and eukaryotes which actually help in initiation process. These sequences are present near the promoter. Sequences which are present near the promoter. They actually help in the process of initiation of transcription. So there are sequences different in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So there are two sequences. First, in case of prokaryotes, in prokaryotes, these sequences are called as Pribnobox. Pribnobox. I told you these sequences are present near the promoter. They are present near the promoter. So, Pribnobox is, the sequence here is read as AAT. So, it consists of 6 bases, 6 nucleotides. And this is present near the promoter. So, what is its position exactly? It is 10 base pairs upstream to the promoter. Upstream to the promoter. This is called as Pribnobox. 10 base pairs upstream to the promoter. That is from the site of initiation. Promoter is useful in initiation. So from the site of initiation, 10 base pairs towards the upstream. That means towards 5' end of coding strand. That is called as an upstream. This is called Pribnobox. So what is the function of this Pribnobox? Is the RNA polymerase, mainly RNA polymerase during initiation, it recognizes this Pribnobox. It recognizes the Pribnobox and help in the process of initiation. So this is recognized by RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase. So we'll do in the process of transcription which subunit or which part of RNA polymerase can actually recognize. And at this region, the 2 base pairs get easily separated and they help in initiation. What are the base pairs here? It consists of only A and T. A and T have double bonds, so they can easily be separated and the initiation process starts. So RNA polymerase recognizes this and then starts the process of initiation. That is called as a Pribnobox in prokaryotes. Now in eukaryotes, it is called as Tata box, or this is also called as, after the scientist, it is also called Goldberg and Hogness box. Tata box or Goldberg and Hogness box. And this sequence, it consists of TATAA. This is the sequence which is present in this region. And this is about 25 to 35 base pairs upstream to the initiation region or upstream to the promoter region where actually initiation takes place. And here unwinding can start. At the initiation means at that point unwinding of DNA strand can start. So these two sequences help in the process of initiation. That is about what is the structure of a transcription unit. Now let us see what exactly is the gene and how it differs in case of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. The topics, students, I am going through exactly the sequence given in the NCERT textbook. I am trying to go discuss based on the same subheadings given. So next topic is what is transcription unit and gene. Transcription unit and the gene. So gene can be defined as functional unit of inheritance. It is functional unit of inheritance. Functional unit of inheritance that we call as a gene. A gene can code for all the type of RNA. So a gene can synthesize all the three types of RNA, that is mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. So all the part of DNA which is synthesizing all the three types of RNA, we can call it as a gene. Now the gene has different definitions. Gene is a general word. So gene has different meanings or different definitions. So gene basically we can understand by three different terms. So first term is cistron. So this I am going to discuss in detail. What is a cistron and little bit detail we will discuss here. A cistron is a segment of DNA or a gene. You know, segment of DNA means a gene. So it is a segment of DNA which codes for a polypeptide. It can help in synthesis of a polypeptide. It is a segment of DNA which can help in the synthesis of a polypeptide. That is called as a cistron. Now, there are two types of, say, genes in case of eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Suppose we say in case of eukaryotes, the gene is called as a monocistronic gene. It is called as a monocistronic because this gene will code for synthesis of, it codes for only one protein or one enzyme or one protein. It codes for synthesis of only one protein. That's why it is called as a monocistronic. And in case of monocistronic, like in case of eukaryotes, we also call it as a split gene concept. It is called as split gene concept. So what is the split gene concept? In case of the cistron in gene, the gene of eukaryotes consists of two sequences, exons and introns. Introns are called intervening sequences. They are interrupted. They interrupt the gene. Intervening sequences. Suppose this is a gene. It alternately, it has an exon and then an intron. And again an exon and an intron. So these introns are called intervening sequences. Intervening. And these do not code for any character. They are called intervening sequences, and the introns do not code for any character. They do not code for any character. So these introns normally are removed. When a mature mRNA is synthesized, these sequences are normally removed. So presence of exons and introns is considered as a split gene, and presence of introns also is considered as it is a primitive feature. Presence of introns is a primitive feature. So this is what is a monocistronic. And in case of prokaryotes, this is called as polycistronic gene. In case of prokaryotes, it is called polycistronic gene. The meaning of polycistronic, poly means many. So here gene codes for more than, it codes for more than one protein. It codes for more than one protein. So it is called as a polycistronic, or more than one enzyme. But though it codes for more than one protein or more than one enzyme, performs same function. It performs same function. That means if it is coding for more than one enzyme, all enzymes will perform the similar function. This is very well explained by the lac operon in E. coli, in bacteria. This we are going to discuss in later sessions. Lac operon. Lac operon is a polycistronic gene, and it catalyzes the metabolism of lactose in E. coli. So function is only one, that is lactose metabolism. But more than one enzyme, here 3 different enzymes are produced. So that is what is a polycistronic gene. Monocistronic and polycistronic gene. So with this, students, we complete one session here. So in my next video, I'll be discussing about the process of transcription in prokaryotes. So that's all for now. Have a good day, and please follow my videos regularly. I can assure you very well they'll be very helpful to you whatever classes you are attending, and you can also ask me personally. I have given my number at the in my description box, and you can also write your any queries in comment box. So I hope you have understood, children. Thank you very much. Have a good day.